I'm with Terry Kidron. Now, Terry, you have a new book out?
I do. It's called Next Big Thing, and it's set in the 80s Boston rock and roll scene. And I'm happy to say it just got a 4-star review in the San Francisco Book Review. And it's about a band that moves to town and tries to make it up through the club scene at the time. And it was very, very hot seeing clubs like The Rat, happened to be wearing the t-shirt, and The Channel, and Cantones, and there were so many bands in town. There was a lot of great music, but the band doesn't realize kind of how competitive it is, and they're all trying to get that big record contract, and try to be the next big thing out of Boston.
Well, here we are. We're at the CD Record Expo show in Dedham, and put on and sponsored by the Randolph Music Center. I'm Ron Della Chiesa. I'm here with my wife Joyce, signing copies of my book, Radio My Way, and I brought a few of my items, my Sinatra items. And I'm here with my old friend Jenny. We go way back when you used to listen to me on WGBH.
Right, that's right, yep.
Who were some of your favorites?
Mel Torme, Dave Brubeck, Sarah Vaughan. Oh, I have so many.
Remember when you, Jenny, when you used to listen to me, and also you attended my class of the history of jazz?
Yes.
That I used to teach. Was that at Quincy Junior College, I think?
Yep.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
Right.
What a nice reunion this has been to
Yes.
see you again. Jenny
Yes, it
Quigley.
is. Right. Yes.
I even bought a 45 because
What did you buy?
Jan Pierce, Bluebird of Happiness.
Yes, I used to have that
You
one.
remember that?
Into this.
Another collection of Columbia rarities. This is the Columbia stuff that was never reissued. All Through the Day, I Love You, Melancholy Mood, Tchaikovsky's None But the Lonely Heart. It was great to be in the Radio Hall of Fame, and so many of my peers that I've worked with, so many of the professional people that I've known are in the Radio Hall of Fame. It was an honor to be among them, and particularly a very moving day because my old friend Chet Curtis, who had been diagnosed with cancer, was there with his 2 daughters on each side of him and made one of the most emotional speeches as he accepted the award. I interviewed Harry Edison on my show. I interviewed Clark Terry. Clark is still living. Of all of these musicians, Buddy DeFranco, I know him. I interviewed him. He's still living. Serge Chaloff, Boston-based musician. Buddy Rich, we just talked about Buddy. These are the kind of things, that those of us who love vinyl treasure.
I left my heart in San Francisco.
We're here on Visual Radio at the Dedham Holiday, original New England Compact Disc and Record Expo, with Ron Della Chiesa, whose name means of the church.
You pronounce that beautifully.
I've been listening to you for a long time.
Yeah, I've been doing it a long time. I've been doing it for 50 years in radio. I wrote a book about it because I figured it was time to get to tell my story before I went up there or down there. Matter of fact, I was talking to Tony Bennett the other night, great Tony Bennett, and he said he never considered what he did work either.
You do the Symphony Hall.
Yes. Yeah. Well, when I'm at Symphony Hall, we're there live every Saturday night.
Every Saturday.
Every Saturday night. We just finished the season, and the orchestra now is on tour. They're in China and Japan. Then when they come back, we'll have the pop season, which opens Wednesday night, and I'll do a couple of live broadcasts. And then I go to Tanglewood, which is the summer home of the Boston Symphony, and we do every Saturday night and Sunday afternoon live. And my producer does the interviews that we do during the intermission. If you haven't been to Symphony Hall, you really should come and hear the Boston Symphony. There's nothing quite like it. It's one of the 3 great halls in the world acoustically. I have all the profiles of interviews I've done from the world of opera, Luciano Pavarotti, Robert Merrill, you remember him? Great singer. All that jazz, Dizzy Gillespie, Stan Getz, Buddy Rich, Joe Venuti.
Amazing.
John Singer, Sergeant of Singers. Tony Bennett, right there at the top. Tony wrote a nice piece for my book. Frank Sinatra Jr. is in here. Mel Torme, Rosie Clooney, Arturo Toscanini, Andre Previn, Gene Shepard. Do you remember Gene Shepard? Great radio humorist.
So I reviewed Out the Fiddler's Up, Up and Away. I thought you'd find that amusing.
Arthur made so many albums. He was ahead of his time. He made a Beatles album too, and he made an Elvis album. He was a conductor of the Pops for 50 years. Then John Williams came in, another giant.
We thank you for playing Sinatra doing Bobby Heb's Sonny, our dear friend Bobby.
I remember when you called me with Duke's band.
Duke Ellington.
Wow. Billy May arranged it. One of the best arrangers in the business. He's a great sense of humor too. Billy was a fun guy.
So Facebook.com Radio Ron DC for Della Chiesa.
Giuseppe Viglione.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful name.
So you have something else in common with Mayor Menino. You know what that is? You've both been guests on Visual Radio.
Yes, we have. You have.
Mayor, His Honor was on with us back in '98. And just being around the vinyl, you kind of feel the vibes. You know, if I see a Joan Baez record and it's got the, huge liner notes in the back, I'll buy it basically for the packaging.
Yeah, exactly.
I started the radio show, the TV show in '79.
Wow.
But it's public access, but I've been writing my whole life.
You have to go visit our friend Charles Laquadera. I know you just
he called in.
Yeah. But he likes to have people from our area, from New England, Boston area, come to visit him in Maui because he has a beautiful house there. You know, Charles had one of the last great buyouts in radio when they wanted to put Howard Stern in his slot. He had a contract. Mel Karmazin, the president of CBS, came to visit Charles and said, well, what do you want, Charles, to get out of your contract? And he named a ridiculous price, and they gave it to him. He bought 2 homes in Maui, sold one to Oprah, kept the other one.
This is Bobby with the Beatles. Brian Epstein, you're with Mayor Menino, Bobby was with the Beatles. Brian Epstein staged that in Memphis. We know because that's the backing of Memphis when they played there, August '66. So, and Gilbert Gottfried, Jodie Foster on my TV show. So you and Jodie Foster have something in common. You've both been on the show.
That's great. Big admirer of hers.
Oh, yeah, she came to town. That's at the Four Seasons.
Yep.
And that's Gilbert Gottfried in studio with us. I am to Bobby Hebb what you are to Frank Sinatra.
Terrific.
Burton Cummings of the Guess Who. These Eyes.
Yeah.
Gallagher, the great comedian. Oh, and here's a good interview. Rob Gronkowski of the Patriots.
Oh, yeah.
And Ray Manzarek of the Doors. Peter Noon, Herman's Hermits. I wrote the foreword to his book.
Looks like Robert Kennedy.
Did you have Bernard Purdy on?
I know him, the drummer. I never interviewed him. But
we just did. Jay and I just interviewed him a couple of months ago. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's his book, The Story of the World's Most Recorded Drummer, Let the Drums Speak.
Yeah.
Comes out in about a month. Could you say for us, this is Ron Della Chiesa on Visual Radio?
This is Ron Della Chiesa on Visual Radio. Join us anytime, anywhere, worldwide, 24/7. This is where it's happening with my man Joe. This guy's got it all, done it all. Beautiful cat. The best is yet to come, as Tony Bennett says. So stay with us. I'm glad you invited me. And when I met Bert, I went into his store. He said, "You know Joe V?" And I said, "Yes." We've been crossing paths. Trouble is, we get so caught up in life. When you sit down and focus, you can do great things.
Cy Coleman published Sonny.
Ah,
How's that for a little nugget?
that's great. He wrote City of Angels, too. What a great show that was. You ever see that?
No.
City of Angels? Wonderful show.
I gotta play you something. See if you can hear this. Bernard Purdy produced it. Bobby Hebb.
Oh, that's Bobby.
I rehooked Bobby up with Bernard at the House of Blues in 2000, and they ran off to New York and recut an album. Ron Della Chiesa, thanks for being on Visual Radio with us. Thank you, Jade LaFon, director.
Thank you, Jay.
Flock of Seagulls, 50 cents. Got to have that classic 80s. Duran Duran, a very hard to find album. You really, really, really have a hard time finding this album.
So I moved to Boston in the mid-'80s, and every night of the week you could go out to a club and hear multiple original bands. And it was so much fun because I came from a part of the country where all you ever heard was cover music. But that was the best part, was getting to hear so much original music. I can't even remember the names of the bands because there were so many nights. The only ones left still are the Middle East and TTs. that I can think of. But it was a great time.
Aloha, I'm Gary Sohmers, King of Pop Culture, and this coming Memorial Day weekend at the Shriners Auditorium, I'll be there along with Pete Best from the Beatles, members of the Game of Thrones TV show, Supernatural, Being Human, Futurama, Ernie Hudson and Ecto-1 from Ghostbusters, all kinds of fun stuff, Muppets. There'll be so much fun to do. Shriners Auditorium, Wilmington, Mass. Be there or be normal. Pop Culture Expo is everything geek and nerds want. Guaranteed not boring. Stay groovy. Aloha.
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here at the Record Show in the Holiday Inn in Dedham. And it's a very interesting book. It traces my 40 years of traveling on the road with some of the greatest musicians, B.B. King, Albert King.
I won't sing. No, I don't sing. I don't do karaoke. I don't do anything. I love to talk and joke, but I don't sing.
We're happy that you joined us today, and we want to promote our September show, September 14th, 2014. A lot of 14s there.
But here I am again, knocking at your door. Nothing's gonna change my world.
And we are going to be at the Popular Culture Convention at the Shriners in another month.
If you have anything by Bob Bernard, Thomas Wayne, or Larry Finnegan, let us know.
All the capital versions.